Sure, our culture equals Islam, it's the same thing. But what he doesn't understand is that actually different Muslim groups have retained their own independent cultural identities. You know what I mean? My mother's name is Shini. Shini is not an Arab name, so that comes from the Farsi Iranian tradition. See what I mean?
Don't you think all groups have their own little hub? You know, I wasn't born in Ireland, but I've got Irish connections.
I see.
But I feel Irish because my husband's Irish, most of my family. But I was born here. But we do have our own little.
Yeah. No, but that's something beautiful, right? And I mean, in the Quran, for example, in the Quran, God says that He made us into different nations and tribes so that we may recognize one another. And the implication there is so that we might respect, as you said, recognize and respect and learn from each other, not to despise each other and not to negatively discriminate against each other. And I illustrate with that with an example because London is very cosmopolitan, very multicultural. So even the Muslims here, for example, hail from many different cultures and countries. So if at Speaker's Corner right now, if I were to ask one of my friends, have you seen Brother Muhammad? Have you seen Muhammad? They'll be, which Muhammad? There's about 20, 30 Muhammads who come here. So I would then specify and say the Nigerian Muhammad, the Muhammad from Albania, the Pakistani Muhammad. So here we're using culture to recognize, not to hate and not to discriminate. I think that's a healthy way of looking at it. Yes.
Because we should all respect each other.
Of course,
I'm gone off religion because I think it causes too much problem.
That is the new religion, though. That is the new religion.
You know what I mean?
Because,
I'm still a Catholic deep down, but I do feel disappointed that we fight with each other. I mean, look at Belfast at the moment.
Right.
I mean, we've had a bombing there as a weekend. We've had a journalist killed.
But don't you think sometimes religion sometimes gets blamed that it doesn't necessarily deserve? So, for example, in Belfast, I mean, you know the situation better, but if tomorrow all of the Irish were to become Anglican, do you think that problem would just dissolve and fizzle away and disappear overnight? I don't believe it would, right? There's still ethnic tensions, there's all kinds of historical tensions, and you can say the same thing about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. So many people, respectfully, such as yourself, who are turned off from religion, just consider this example in Palestine and Israel. If tomorrow all of the Israelis said, we've had enough of religion because, as you said, it's a cause of too much division and too much war, so we're going to abandon Judaism and we're going to become atheists. And if the Palestinians said the same thing, if they said, but do you honestly think that problem will just dissolve and go away? Do you think the average Palestinian will then say to the Israeli that, look, because you're my atheist sister in disbelief, it's okay, here's the car keys, here's my iPhone, you can take my wallet, my house, I'll just head for a refugee camp in Jordan. No. So religion sometimes gets too much of the blame when it's not just religion.
It's true. I think that's the first thing you think about, because we were brought up with the Catholic, if your name was Max something, we knew automatically what religion you are.
Right.
So.
But they wouldn't have been particularly concerned with how devout of a Catholic Max is it?
Yeah, but you wouldn't get into a school if you're in Northern Ireland.
Yes.
I mean, you'd only go to a Catholic school because of your name. So the minute you say your name, when you go anywhere and you give your name, they can tell straight away what religion you are. Which to me shouldn't matter, because if I'm a Catholic, you're a Protestant, and we both want to say, now you wouldn't get the same job,
right.
Because it's a bit better now.
Of course.
When I was younger, it was very much so. You wouldn't even go out with a Catholic. Now you are.
Well, my father-in-law still remembers the signs of no Irish or dogs allowed, or no Irish or blacks allowed.
I remember. I came here. I was born here, and then I went to Ireland as a baby, and I came back here at 14, and I came back again at 16 to work on my own. 16. And my father came here as well to work, and he went down to Ladbroke Road. You know Ladbroke Road? Yeah, you know Ladbroke Road. And I was working in another part of London. I was in a place where I lived in because I was very young. And I remember going down to see my father. The big houses in Ladbroke Road, and I remember seeing no dogs, no blacks, no Irish. And I'm old now, but I was only like at that, and I can remember it.
70s,
yeah. 70s, yeah. And you think,
But Something that you might want to look into if you haven't already is during the Irish potato famine. The Ottoman Empire actually sent ships of food, and again, I haven't researched it very well myself, but I'm not aware of any particularly political motive that they had for that. So I think religion in this case, for example, can be a force for good as well too.
Can be.
And in America, they've done studies and they've shown that it's people of faith who actually give the most to charity. Believe it or not, I'm not suggesting that people of no religion can't be charitable or act morally, but
it's best not to generalize, and I will take that on board.
let me give you a very small example. Right? When I was on the tube here, there's a sign there that said, "Kids under 11 ride for free." My son is 11 right now, right? We're just visiting for a short time, and he looks like he's 9 years old. If you remember, he's very small. He looks like he's 9 years old. So my point being that if I just took him in on my Oyster card without paying for his separate ticket or Oyster card, like no one will even ask. No one will even ask how old your son is. So the only reason I bought an Oyster card from, I'm being honest, I'm not a saint, I'm not an angel. I don't believe that karma's going to come back and bite me and I'm going to die a depressing death because I cheated the tube out of a few tickets. It's only because I believe that in addition to these cameras, I believe that Allah or God Almighty, He's watching me. And on the Day of Judgment, He's going to show me a long YouTube video called Sadat's Life. That's me, Sadat.
Well, the Catholic is a bit the same, even though I say I don't run to church, but you're always aware that if you do something that they are.
Well, this is how religion benefits even ex-Catholics and even people who have left the church, because something of that Judeo-Christian ethos, something of that Judeo-Christian cultural legacy and teachings, they still influence people of your generation. So I noticed that there's many people, respectfully, of your generation who left the church, but they still remained people of marriage, they still remained people of family. But my point is that as time goes on and we move farther and farther away from religion, marriage is going to be a hard sell to your grandkids' generation. See, you had that legacy from your parents, you saw it. But to sell marriage now to your 20-year-old grandson or 20-year-old, that's going to be a hard sell. One of our scholars gave a beautiful example, which is if one of these green leaves falls off of the tree doesn't immediately turn brown and wither and die. Sorry, the leaf doesn't immediately wither and die, does it? It looks just as fresh and as green as the leaf on the tree. But little does it realize it's been cut off from the source of life. Eventually it will wither and die. And so your generation remained, a moral generation, people of marriage and family. But I wonder how long that will remain without an objective grounding in faith.
Nice to talk to you.
Out of respect, we only hold hands with our sister or brother or daughter. But honored to speak to you. Thanks for speaking with us. Thank you. Bye bye.